So you're on Windows and you want to run Jupyter notebooks, or more specifically Jupyter Lab, for reasons that deserves a whole slideshow, which quite frankly, I'm going to show you later because this video is about just jumping right into the business and making it happen, right? So you open your Windows Subsystem for Linux, right? And this is for people who already have LXD running under Windows Subsystem for Linux, because we're going to put Jupyter on a container, not directly on WSL, which also is possible and is actually a bit easier, but we're going to do it for a multitude of reasons on an LXD container. Okay, so the first thing you do is you do your LXD LS. No, it's LXCLS. I'll never get used to that. And you'll see your currently installed containers. I've got one running and it stopped, but the way these things work is once you've done that, it's going to start it and it's right there in memory running. So that's not the one I'm going to do it on. I'm reducing moving parts, and I actually went to some considerable length to make sure that we're not going to talk about Linux graphics or any of these optional things, auto launching Firefox, Linux side, or none of that is. This is just about the easiest and most straightforward way to do it. So if you got a container already, stop it. LXC stop drummers, and we're going to do it on a new container. LXC launch Ubuntu :20.04. I've had the best success with that. And there's a new king in town, I hear. His name is King Coyote. We choose the name for our container this time. And another LXCLS will show us that it is not only there, but it is running, but it has not been assigned a IPv4, which is actually quite important. So we are going to LXC stop King Coyote and LXC start King Coyote and see if we get an IP back. There we go. Now we have an IPv4, the old-fashioned kind of IP. Pretty important for this exercise. So yeah, I guess there's a little bit of, race condition stuff going on, so you got to deal with that. Keep alert, and this is a good reason to show the whole LXC space LS. I tend to do LXC LS hyphen fast to make it take less space, but then it doesn't show you the IPs, and that would have gone right by me, and I would have been scratching my head wondering what was going on. So clear screen, clear mind. Now we can start following the instructions, which I have kindly made available for you at mikelev.in, right? I got a website. You go into my blog. It's currently the top blog post on my blog. I'll probably put it somewhere under like Linux, something in here. But for right now, it's this blog post from today. And we're going to follow it pretty straightforward, pretty diligently, right? I give the 1, 2, 3 instructions because this is the kind of thing that has a magical incantation, and this is it. There's lots of reasons this won't work, and only very few reasons it will. So following my instructions are one of the reasons it will. This is a line that will add a device of type proxy to the container named King Coyote. We give it an arbitrary name, JupMe. And, it's got a few other parameters here, which says, anything that is on any IP is going to be proxied to localhost on our WSL machine, all right? You don't have to understand everything. You just got to copy paste it into that shell after you made yourself your new container. Device JupMe added to King Coyote. That's what we want to see. How big can I go? I can go that big. All right, now you log into the container and you do your updates. LXC, EXEC, King Coyote -- space su space login Ubuntu. Sorry, I stopped saying every character, but you get the idea. Sudo apt update. And after this update is done, we know we're going to answer yes to sudo apt upgrade, so we'll give it the -y parameter after sudo apt upgrade. Let's see how many packages will be upgraded and how long you'll be waiting, because this is a straight shoot, no editing. Sudo apt update upgrade yes. And so that just takes those libraries that needed to be updated and updates them. It's like running a Windows Service Pack Tuesday or whatever. Old terminology, Service Pack. It's just Windows updates. Update Tuesday, update Thursday, I don't know, something like that. They're doozies lately. Whew. Okay, so 14% done. That'll take a moment. We'll look ahead. So after we do the upgrades, we just jump right into adding a repository. One of these commands that used to be required isn't required anymore. So we add the repository, we install Python 3.10, Python 3.10's virtual env. There's a lot out there, and there's so much, preference, personal strong preference surrounding the Python virtual environment managers. This is the one that comes with a Python standard library. Although it requires a separate apt install, it's still the standard library one. And then we're going to create a virtual env. So that's our next step. Good, we're up to our next step. So we add that Dead Snake Society PPA. What does PPA mean? We'll see that in a moment. You have to hit enter. All right. Dead Snake's Personal Package Archive, PPA. And I put that one separately because you have to hit enter. They can't be executed together. So these three could be executed together, but I'm going to do them one at a time. You install Python 3.10. That too has the -yes parameter on it because it's going to ask you whether you really want to do it. So we just proactively answer yes. We'll get the next one ready in our copy buffer. So that's Python 3.10.7 installed, right? So the reasons for doing it this way are many. One of them is certainly having the latest and greatest Python. The fact that we're doing this into a virtual env. Right, so now that we've done the commands that are part of Ubuntu and Debian, right? That's the apt system, which is also the Debian package manager. We now do a command that's part of Python, right? This is the Python 3.10 executable we're calling with the -m parameter that locks it into the context of that exe. And we're creating we're using the venv program to create a virtual env from my home directory on the Linux side called py310. That's what this command is. I should do before and afters of like ls is showing you my directory, but we're in home directory. It just created that, right? No big mystery, right? Okay, so now we're going to edit our Vim profile, our bash, or not our Vim pro. We're going to use Vim to edit our bash profile, and then we're just going to add this line into our bash profile that doesn't exist yet. And I give a few commands here for people who are new to Vim. The fact that you have to hit I for insert mode, and when you're done, it's escape key, :QW, enter. All right, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'll do clear screen, clear mind, vim /.bash_profile. Spell it right because you're creating it. Command line completion won't work. Right click to paste it from the operating system, escape to get it out of insert mode, :W Q. Now before I hit enter, I'll just explain that. Source just makes it execute this script. This is just another bash script, but it doesn't exit the calling bash script. Source makes it stay in the context of the calling bash script. So this is a way to like write all over your environment variables. That's what it's doing. And now that we've done that, our instructions say exit, and then up arrow to re-enter, right? So exit, and then up arrow gives our logging command. Now, here's a before and after. We're at the prompt now at Diamond Age. When we were in the container, it was Ubuntu at King Coyote, right? Nothing coming before the word Ubuntu. Now, when we go back in, Pi 310, we are locked into a Python virtual environment. It's very good. It means everything you do in the way of pip installs is also locked into that location, and none of that mysterious, where did my pip install put things, occur. So in addition to the benefits of like being on Python 3.10.7, the latest and greatest, we also are making the outer context of all this a Python virtual environment that locks you in, so there's no misunderstanding of where your pip installs are occurring. There's not different terminals. I could talk forever about this. There's a slideshow later for it. All right. So your prompt should look like this. Yes, indeed it does. Install Jupyter Lab with pip, generate a config file, set a password, and make a repo directory. Okay, so pip install Jupyter Lab. This pip install stuff is super duper safe because you're in a virtual environment in Python. So when you do this and it goes and does this wonderful stuff, there's really no question of where or how it installs. It installs in exactly the right place. Look how colorful that is. And these wheels here are telling us that it's using the modern method of pip installs, which is why things like Anaconda are not really necessary anymore. It used to be that so many of these things were difficult to install. Setting up a Jupyter server was not easy, right? It was complicated. It required compiles, having the GNU toolchain, editing config files, and all that Linux nonsense that traditionally makes things difficult on Linux. But now there's these new, things like, the Debian package manager, apt install, but Python side, the Python software repository system has grown up. It can put pre-compiled executables for your hardware and location, and that vastly simplifies things. So we are now going to create a server config file. It's not currently there. So if I were to do before and afters, I want to keep it as simple as possible. All I'm doing is the commands in my thing, an occasional ls. I'll do an ls-la. That's not too extravagant. There is no .jupyter thing here yet. We do that command. See that? All right. LSLA again. Oh, darn. Control C. I did the Jupyter config thing again. LSLA. There's a .jupyter thing, right? It created a hidden directory. If you look over here, you can see it's a directory it created. So there's stuff put inside of there. You don't need to touch it or do anything. You just need to have created it, right? And so the next command helps us create a password. Again, clear screen, clear mind. Jupyter server password, right? Not too difficult. I'll make that a little bigger for you to see. Enter password. I will use foo, as I do on anything that doesn't really need to be secured as much as they think it might need to be. And then we make a directory in your home location called repos. I used to use the word GitHub for this, but I'm like, hey, maybe you'll use Bitbucket or some other service. So I am not going to be excessively locked in on a GitHub directory for all your repos. Call it what it is. We'll make a repos directory for all your repos, ls. So now we have the Python virtual environment, and we have a directory called repos. That's actually pretty important to have that repos directory. It seems rather discretionary, but you need to have CD'd yourself somewhere. You need to have put yourself in a current directory when you launch Jupyter Server, and that's where we're going to CD ourselves to. All right, so we go on. Oh, I should have made this bigger. Sorry, folks. So we change directories now to user local bin. And we sudo vim-jn. We're going to create a file called jn, and we need to be in super user mode to do that. And we're going to put this script inside to run it, all right? That way, so I just describe it, blah, blah, blah. You can read that on your time. Vim. No, not Vim yet. We're going to cd into /usr/local/sbin. sbin. I hope I said sbin earlier, but that's where it's going to be. And then we're going to go sudo vim-jn, right? So we're creating a new file. And then you can just pick up what I show here. It's everything you need. It's got some lovely stuff in here. I really feel like maybe I should explain it, but it's going to launch Jupyter in server mode under the GNU Screen program. It has some defenses against double running it or leaving dead screen sessions. And it puts Jupyter server into Jupyter lab mode, and it runs it in a way that it can serve with the IP of the hosting machine, not just localhost, and it locks it into port 8888. And it knows it's going to do no browser, so it doesn't do the annoying token passing stuff that is normally done. So we will rely on the password, at least the first time, right? All right, so I for insert mode, click with your operating system, escape key, :WQ. All right, it's there. Now immediately, whenever you put a file in your sbin, first thing you want to do is sudo chmod +x. We're adding the executable bit to what we just created. It's executable. I'm tempted to just type jn enter and execute it, but no, not yet. We're going to do it with as few moving parts as possible. So there's the command to chmod your file, and put this line into your bash profile. We're going to run it from the bash profile that starts the container. So you can edit your bash profile from any directory. Even though we're in user local sbin, I can vim, and you don't need to sudo vim this because it's your own. ~/ always points to your home directory. .b, now command line completion will work because the file exists now. Earlier, the file didn't exist. We created it. We put that one line in it. And source activating the pi thing there, that's fine. We can do that first. We should do that first. I believe we might actually have to do that first. But anyway, you put your jn line in there, escape :WQ. All right. This is the way you install Jupyter now on Windows to get all the benefits of the Linux way of doing it. Server automation, getting the latest, greatest libraries, the machine learning stuff. Oh, it's for another time. All right. Log out of the container and back in. To test your edits and ensure Jupyter's running in a screen, try the following command. So we exit, we go back in, and then we do screen ls. I should put the word exit in those instructions because you do want to exit. That logs you out of Ubuntu at King Coyote, and we're now at Nell at Diamond Age. Now we go right back in, up arrow, has our login command still, enter. Oh. Huh. Yeah, okay, we're Ubuntu at King Coyote. For a moment, it showed me that whole Vim screen. Okay. Screen space ls. There it is. It's running. Look at that. It's running in the background, invisibly, such as it were, in your container, not directly under WSL, but one step lower under an LXD container. Better still, under a Python virtual environment under an LXD container, under WSL, under Windows, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so now that the Jupyter server is running, we can go over to Edge, and we should be able to type localhost : 8888, enter. Password. All right, password is foo, as we set it over there. Take a look at it. Yep. Log in. Drum roll, please. Jupyter Lab. All right, first step under Jupyter Lab, settings, theme, Jupyter Lab Dark. Okay, now it's Jupyter Lab. Before, it was something else. Dark mode, yeah. All right, so what do? Well, first of all, it doesn't show us much about the directory we're in, but it's that repo's location. So let's just probe a little bit. Let's do a Control+ to make it a little bit bigger. Before we probe, I told you it's going to run full screen and like an app just as nicely as doing the Jupyter desktop Electron.js version, the standalone version install. Yes, I did. Or maybe I did. Maybe that's in the deck and I don't remember. But see these 3 dots? Go to those 3 dots. See this thing apps? Go to that thing called apps. See this install this site as an app? Click that. Give it a name, Jupyter Lab. That sounds pretty reasonable. Install. Oh, some options. What do we want to do? Well, let's get rid of pin to start. I never pin anything to start, but pin to... No, wait, I have that backwards. Let's get rid of pin to taskbar. I never pin anything to taskbar, but pin to start, yes. All right. And we are going to hit allow. Now you'll see it kind of double ran here. Something came up, even though there's still that browser in the background. Let's just get rid of that browser in the background. Hey, no address bar, is there? No, there's not. And it's not quite full screen though, is it? This is leaving all this room up here, all this wasted real estate, and the taskbar is there. Taskbars are not really full screen in my book. So see these 3 dots? Click those 3 dots. Go down to More Tools, and down in More Tools, you should now see the familiar full screen button. Click that. It tells you to exit it. You can swipe down from the top or press F11. Kind of important because when it comes time to quit, you're going to have to click that, and then you're going to have to click that over there, 1 more X. Oh wait, but what about that password? Oh well, let's do that. Let's click that X. Let's click that. Let's leave that app. I said I had it pinned to the taskbar. I mean, pinned to the start menu. There it is, pinned to the start menu. Bring it up. Hey, look, I was not challenged with the password, was I? No, I wasn't. Okay, what else? Before I do some notebook stuff to probe around and show you stuff, one more thing. This is still running, remember that? And in fact, if you want to, you can do screen. We already did a screen ls that showed us it's running, right? This is a screen on, blah, 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 blah. So now we can do screen -r. Lowercase r is sufficient because you're reattaching to something. You can do to enter, you can do j enter, you can do j tab for command line completion. It doesn't matter. I'll do j tab so you can see we are reattaching to screen Jupyter. Oh, look at that. Jupyter server. All right, King Coyote. And it's being served on the, host name of the machine, or alternatively the local host IP. There's a whole bunch of ways. There's an internal IP it's being served at, but no matter how it's being served, as long as it's mappable on port 8888, the proxy device that we put on this container is allowing WSL to get it. And because of tricks Microsoft does, that means if WSL is getting it as localhost, Windows gets it as localhost. Abracadabra. For my next trick, I will Control A, and while still hitting the control key, D, that detaches and keeps it running. If we were to screen ls, you'll see it's still running. But this black window is open, and anyone who's familiar with the Jupyter install from Anaconda knows about leaving those black windows open and how annoying that can be, right? That's annoying, isn't it? Well, it's gone. Last web browser with the instructions, because I showed you everything. Don't need everything here. I'll take these. These are useful. My copy buffer for notes. Now I close out of everything. Everything is closed in Windows. There's nothing running on any of these other things. Well, what about Jupyter? Didn't you close that server? Why, no. No, I did not. It's running invisibly in the background in a place where you can still get to it when you want to. How do you get to it? You pop into your WSL, And from your WSL, you pop into your container. Ah, that's what's going on there. So it's showing me a bash RC. I must have put something in the bash, sudo vim-jn. That's what I did. Oh my goodness, cd to sbin. Sudo vim-jn is editing the file. I put just a little bit too much in there. Yeah, every good video needs some little mistake. So I write and quit, in fact, now I can kill that screen reattach Jupyter, because you might be wondering, what if you Control-C out of this? Answer yes to exit. The server's gone. I close out again. I don't even need to close out, but you get the idea. Control-Shift-W for locked up terminals. Now this thing here is dead because I killed the server on it. Yeah, see, server connection error, dismiss, no big deal. You close that out. The wonderful thing about this now is just by merely going into the container with that command, that's all you need to do. You can exit out entirely. Just touching the container with login. It runs your bash profile. Your bash profile runs your Jupyter server. Now you got Jupyter hosted on your Windows machine in the way that everyone should. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's make it a little bigger so you can see stuff. Let's do ultra focused mode, because now that we're, in an now that we're in an Edge installed app, we can do this. We can get rid of this. We can even toggle this to put us in like super focused mode. No tabs up there except for your current notebook. So we'll give ourselves a current notebook. And I've got those things in my copy buffer. I don't want to run them like that, so I'll switch that to Markdown so I have some notes. So you import sys. With sys imported, you can do sys.version. What version Python are we running? Python 3.10.7. This process is worth it just for that. All right, you with me? All right. Let's see what our Python executable is. Where does that exe reside? Maybe it's still a .exe on the Windows side. I don't know. Oh, no, it's very clearly in that virtual env that I created. See, /home/ubuntu/pi310/bin/python310. It's a genuine Linux Python executable. // virtual env and all. All right, what other stupid probing tricks can we do? Well, the other two probing tricks of note are from importing OS, because OS has a name. I'm very used to seeing the name NT here, but no, look at that, it's POSIX. And what about our current working directory? That would be os.get current working directory. Open, close, because it's a function. Oh, there's our repos. So when we bring this up and we see just that slash there, that's where we really are. So we want to do Linux stuff. Nothing there except for that one Python notebook I made. Make dir my first repo. Okay, touch. I'll teach you some touch foo. Git add foo.txt. Oh yeah, git init. Oh, we're not even in it. cd my first repo. Oh, cp / foo to where I am. Git init. Git add foo.text. Git commit. My repo foo. Oh yeah, it doesn't know who I am. All right, I'm not going to do the commit, but we'll go over to this side and you will see, and that's going to probably, oh, I did a copy. Let's do a remove parent directory foo.txt. We don't need it up there. We could also have removed it from here, but you'll see in a moment that whole sensing the update stuff will kick in. And if it doesn't, if you're impatient, you can click that. There it goes. It disappeared on its own. All right. Thank you, 0MQ. I'll teach you all about the magic that makes this so, well, magical. So there's our foo.txt. And if you wanted to edit the foo.txt in a tab up here, you could. You take yourself out of simple mode in order to see your different tabs. But I can, type stuff in here, saving completed. Complete integration with Linux. There's a bar, right? I mean, how much can I tell you? Should I install TensorFlow and stuff to show you that you got the latest and greatest of the machine learning stuff? Although PyTorch would probably be that. We're going to listen to Jeremy Howard on these matters. Speaking of which, we're on the verge of nbdev. Pip install nbdev, but just like I held off the pip install Jupyter Lab for this video, because I won't make clear delineations, we're really going to stop here. What more is there? The fact that your files are sitting on a genuine Linux system, and not even the kooky WSL Linux, right? WSL Linux is modified by Microsoft. There are strange differences. You don't have systemd. You have to put it on there. But when you do put it on there and you get the Linux container system, subsequent Linuxes you install through that container system are plain Jane vanilla Linux, no quirkiness of the Microsoft subsystem. These are all reasons we follow this path. This is good stuff. Is there anything else I want to say? Probably not. I copied the last things from the bottom of my instruction where you can find out about this process. There's nothing more to it really except than what I showed you. And if you do want to learn more, my website is my name, MIKELEV, and you just put the dot before the IN. And that'll bring you to my homepage. And all my thoughts that are tied to these videos are on my blog. It's, as I say, beware this blog is not for you. It's every little thing I do. The content here is not prepared, so turn back now and please be spared. But you're welcome to look at it in its unorganized state. Over time, I'll put the gems in on the primary and secondary nav. You see, as you go across here, the secondary nav changes, and each of the killer content pieces I do like this, I'll put on the sec nav. So this will probably be Linux WSL or something like that, LXD. I'm not sure exactly. Or Python Jupyter, so many choices. This covers, this is a cross-cutting project, as they say. So I'm happy to have shared it with you. And yeah, just a reminder, you don't really need these black windows showing. You just get rid of them, and Jupyter will just keep running as always. And if you're not familiar with Jupyter or Python, let me show you the Hello World program. That's Hello World. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to stop back soon for nbdev and how we actually turn these into Linux services that can run 24/7 so you don't have to sit there and press the button. Later, Gators.